Now, in the fifth and final section of our lecture, we will talk about the antenatal education. In this section, we will talk about the exercise and coitus in pregnancy, breast care, social and cultural awareness, and safe prescribing in pregnancy. So, antenatal education, exercise in pregnancy. During pregnancy, it's important to encourage the pregnant women to take reasonable activity during pregnancy. So it's not that some women when they find out that they might be pregnant or they are pregnant, usually they pay more attention to resting or laying in the bed. That's not recommended, because good exercise and daily activity is very important, because that helps to increase the metabolism and helps to give more nutrition and oxygen, and a blood flow get better. So it's good to have regular activity every single day. So encourage that to the pregnant women. Early pregnancy, usually in the early pregnancy, especially it's more when the patient comes, because they have more like feeling of tiredness, they feel weak and they feel like no energy, they have nausea, vomiting, morning sicknesses. So because of that, usually the exercise or daily activity is disrupted. So that's the time when they need most encouragement. So they should not lay in the bed most of the time, and they should follow their daily routine activity. No need to limit sporting activity beyond the common sense limits of avoiding excessive exertion and fatigue. So even limiting the sporting activities like walking and swimming and those kind of things even are not, should not be avoided, or they are not a contraindication for pregnancy. But it's important that tell the pregnant lady that she should not do to such an extent the overexertion that they can cause. It can cause fatigue, and it can cause discomfort. So it should be in certain limit, and they should know that how much is exercise is more than limit, and it can cause complications. Next is coitus in pregnancy. Lot of couples, they think that when the woman is pregnant, the coitus might cause any complications, but it's not true. Usually coitus itself is not a contraindication unless there is some complication that can lead to the prevention or reduction of the coital interval. So coitus is not as itself is a contraindication during gestation. Sometimes physical difficulties, like if the pregnancy is in the late stage and abdomen is big enough, usually it might cause any problems. So depending on individual couples, this is sometimes it's avoided at the late age of or late time of gestation. Evidence of if there is evidence of threatened miscarriage or a previous history of recurrent miscarriages, usually it's better to take precautions, or if there is a risk of introducing infection. So these are few cases in which coitus should be prevented or avoided, because it can lead to infections or recurrent miscarriages as a result of stimulation of uterus leading to uterine contractions or these things. Otherwise, it's not a contraindication. Breast care. encourage unless adverse fetal or maternal consequences. Previous damage to the breast or grossly inverted nipples may make breastfeeding difficult. So, usually breastfeeding should be encouraged after delivery, and then how it should be advised how they should take care of the breast. But if there are some complications like inverted breast nipples that makes the feeding difficult, then you can advise the mother otherwise. Medication sometimes which can cross the breast tissue and goes into the milk, that can be damaging to the baby, that should be, then it should be avoided. Maternal infections such as HIV that can go through the milk and cause infection in the babies, then breastfeeding should be avoided as well. Good personal hygiene, including breast care in antenatal period. Always advise them that they should do the breastfeeding and how they should take care of the breast, so it should be more chances that they can do the breastfeeding. Colostrum may leak from the milk. It's a thick white discharge like milk, so it's usually it leaks from the nipple after the delivery. Social and cultural awareness. What are the different social and cultural factors that affect the pregnancy outcome? We have the different social and cultural factors. One very common is in some cultures, usually they don't do regular antenatal visits and antenatal care. And the first time, sometimes when the doctor or obstetrician see the patient, usually it's at the time of the delivery, and then they can't do anything to avoid any complications. And usually the females who don't do regular antenatal visits in some cultural areas, usually they prefer home deliveries, and that home deliveries can cause complications like tears and lacerations, and that can lead to prolapse because of poor postnatal management. So social and cultural factors is very important on the impact of the pregnancy. Different cultural beliefs and expectations, again, including, no, we don't want to see the doctor, it can cause this, and we want to do home deliveries and home cares. All these are different cultural beliefs. Even some people, they don't want, okay, don't eat this, it's hot during pregnancy and it can cause complications and this and that ultimately leads to malnourishment, and the outcome is not good. Then socio-economic status and support, if they can even afford the medical treatment and certain supplements during the pregnancy and good nutrition during the pregnancy. Competing life priorities. Some people are more compelling towards their professions, and they don't do any rest and any dietary, don't follow any dietary advices. So this can also lead to complications during pregnancy. Level of education, most important thing is level of education. If women is educated, they know what's the priorities they should have during pregnancy, how often they should visit, what's the importance of treatment, management, diet during pregnancy. This can affect the outcome, and it's very, very important. So all these factors ultimately leads to affect the outcome of the pregnancy, and it should be followed, and patients should be educated properly. Then safe prescribing in pregnancy, use of prescription and over-the-counter medication as well as complementary and alternative medication. So drugs should be used very, very carefully during the pregnancy. Sometimes over-the-counter and drugs are usually safe. That's why you can get them over the counter. But it's important that you should use as much less medicines during pregnancy as possible, and even prescription drugs, make sure to tell the doctor that your person is pregnant, and they should prescribe the drugs which are not dangerous to the baby. Ongoing treatment of any pre-existing medical conditions, tell them that you are pregnant and you might be pregnant, so they should the doctor tells you that these medicines should not be used, or the dose should be decreased. Simple analgesics, antipyretics, antihistamine, and antiemetics, which are available over the counter, that usually are safe. Paracetamol, simple analgesia, non-steroid anti-inflammatory drugs are usually contraindicated. Paracetamol is safe, but non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs are not safe, and they should not be used during pregnancy to avoid any fetal complications and effects. Metoclopramide is a very safe drug to use for morning sickness, nausea, and vomiting during the pregnancy. So that was all about the patient education during the pregnancy. Thank you for watching sqadia.com.